This morning, the Princess of Wales back on the global stage. Kate's first international trip since her cancer recovery, stepping out on her own, a research trip of sorts, learning about a cause she cares deeply about.
Thousands of people have packed the square. People are hanging out the windows, and you can see her right here meeting some of her littlest fans.
Few royal jewels carry the emotion, symbolism, and public fascination attached to Princess Diana's most famous tiara. Decades after it became linked to one of the monarchy's most beloved figures, many royal watchers have noticed something intriguing. Kate continues to be associated with Diana's legacy, while Camilla never has. So, is it simply a matter of protocol, or does the decision reflect deeper traditions, sensitivities, and unspoken rules within the royal family? The answer reveals a fascinating story of heritage, symbolism, and the lasting influence of a princess the world never forgot. But do you think Camilla should also be allowed to wear Diana's iconic tiara? Share your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal drama, please subscribe. The tiara nobody claimed. There are many priceless treasures hidden deep within the royal vaults beneath Buckingham Palace. Crowns, necklaces, and tiaras that have witnessed coronations, weddings, and historic moments rest behind heavily protected doors. Yet, among them all, one piece has carried a burden far greater than its diamonds and pearls. It became the jewel that even a queen could never comfortably claim. For nearly 2 decades after Princess Diana's tragic death in 1997, the Cambridge lover's knot tiara seemed to vanish from public life. Officially, it had simply been returned to the royal collection, placed back into secure storage as protocol demanded. Unofficially, it had become something else entirely. The tiara had transformed into a powerful reminder of a woman whose memory still held the nation in its grip. Diana was no ordinary royal figure. To millions around the world, she was the people's princess, admired for her warmth, compassion, and vulnerability. Seeing the tiara on another woman so soon after her death would have felt unsettling to many, as though a deeply personal chapter had been reopened before the public was ready. Even a monarchy, often criticized for appearing distant, seemed to understand this emotional reality. Without public announcements or formal declarations, the tiara entered a kind of silent retirement. It became a symbol of grief that neither the royal family nor the public had fully processed. Sometimes preserving an institution means recognizing which traditions should pause, even when no one dares explain why. Yet the story of this famous tiara began long before Diana transformed it into an icon. In 1913, Queen Mary commissioned the House of Gerard to create the dazzling piece. Passionate about preserving royal history, she wanted the design to honor a tiara once owned by her grandmother, Princess Augusta of Hesse-Kassel, the Duchess of Cambridge. The result was breathtaking. Delicate diamond arches formed elegant lovers' knots, each suspended with luminous teardrop pearls that moved gently with every step. Jewelry experts estimate its value at several $million today, but its true worth cannot be calculated. It represents over a century of royal history, family legacy, and changing public sentiment. Queen Elizabeth II wore the tiara during the earlier years of her reign before gradually favoring other pieces. Then, in 1981, it found its most famous wearer. At just 20 years old, Lady Diana Spencer received the tiara as part of her transformation into Princess Diana. It accompanied her across the world, appearing at grand state banquets, diplomatic receptions, and royal tours stretching from Australia to the Middle East. It quickly became her signature piece, inseparable from the glamorous image presented to the public. But behind the dazzling photographs lay a different reality. Diana reportedly admitted to friends that the tiara's considerable weight often caused severe headaches. In many ways, it reflected her royal experience itself, beautiful from a distance, yet far more complicated beneath the surface. When Diana died, the tiara returned to the vault, carrying not only pearls and diamonds, but the emotional weight of an unfinished story. And that raises an even bigger question. If these treasures belong to the crown, who ultimately decides when history can be rewritten and when certain memories must remain untouched? Stay with us as we uncover the king's power on royal collections. The king's jewel decisions. For many people watching royal events from the outside, it is easy to imagine that the royal family's tiaras are kept in one enormous jewelry vault, available for any senior royal woman to borrow whenever she wishes. But the reality behind these glittering treasures is far more complicated. The world of royal jewels is governed by centuries of tradition, strict protocols, and carefully guarded lines of authority. One of the biggest misconceptions is the belief that influential figures within the family can personally decide who gets access to famous pieces. Even someone as respected and dedicated as Princess Anne cannot simply hand a treasured tiara to Catherine, Princess of Wales, or prevent Queen Camilla from wearing one. Those decisions do not rest with individual family members, regardless of their status or popularity. At the center of this system stands the monarch. When it comes to the royal collection, the king holds the ultimate responsibility. Yet even that authority operates within an intricate framework shaped by history and custom. The collection itself is generally divided into several categories. The first includes the crown jewels, perhaps the most recognizable symbols of the monarchy. These pieces, including coronation regalia, such as St. Edward's crown and the imperial state crown, are not personal possessions. They belong to the institution of the monarchy and are held in trust for the nation. They represent duty and continuity rather than personal taste. The second category consists of private property. These are items personally owned by the monarch through inheritance or purchase. Such pieces may be gifted or passed on according to the sovereign's wishes. Then there is the third and perhaps most fascinating category: the historic heirlooms passed from one reign to the next. These jewels are deeply woven into the story of the monarchy itself. They are not merely decorative accessories. They carry memories of past queens, state occasions, and defining moments in royal history. The Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara falls into this distinguished group. Closely associated with Queen Elizabeth II, and later made famous by Diana, Princess of Wales, the tiara eventually came under the authority of King Charles III following the late Queen's passing. That transfer reinforced an important truth. The final decision regarding such pieces belongs to the reigning monarch. However, these choices are rarely as simple as issuing a command. Behind palace walls, discussions surrounding tiaras often involve sensitivity, symbolism, and an understanding of each royal woman's public role. Certain pieces gradually become linked with specific individuals, creating emotional attachments and powerful public associations. Over time, some tiaras evolve into unofficial signatures. Their repeated appearances alongside particular royal figures shape public expectations and strengthen their historical identities. This unwritten understanding influences future decisions just as much as formal protocol. But if the king holds the authority, why can't every senior royal simply wear whichever tiara they prefer? What hidden rules determine who gains access to these dazzling symbols of status and who is quietly excluded? Because once you uncover the tiara restrictions, the glittering image of royal freedom begins to reveal something far more surprising. Let's uncover the shocking restrictions. The royal tiara rules. For many people, a tiara is simply a beautiful piece of jewelry. But inside royal circles, it represents something far more powerful. Every tiara appearance is carefully planned, with strict rules determining not only who may wear one, but also when and why. When a royal woman attends a grand occasion, choosing a tiara is never based solely on personal taste. The formality of the event matters. The style of the gown matters. Even the history attached to the jewels plays an important role. Above all, the tiara must send the right message. In the monarchy, appearances are part of a much larger story about duty, rank, and tradition. One of the oldest customs surrounding tiaras is linked to marriage. For centuries, these dazzling headpieces have been associated with a woman's transition into married life. They were once viewed as symbols of commitment and stability, marking a new chapter in a royal woman's journey. Although modern attitudes have evolved, the royal family continues to respect many of these long-standing traditions. This explains why even young royals who hold important positions in the line of succession do not automatically gain access to the family's most treasured jewels. Despite being one of the most recognized children in the world and standing close to the throne, Princess Charlotte has not yet crossed that ceremonial threshold. According to tradition, she would not be expected to wear a genuine royal tiara until her own wedding day. During King Charles's coronation, however, Charlotte's appearance captured worldwide attention. Rather than breaking protocol, a creative solution was found. She wore an elegant silver and crystal headpiece crafted by Alexander McQueen. The design echoed the grandeur of a traditional tiara while carefully respecting the rules that govern royal jewels. This balancing act reveals something fascinating about the monarchy itself. The system is designed to preserve order, ensuring that certain pieces remain connected to seniority, responsibility, and the future of the crown. These decisions are rarely about personal preference. Instead, they reinforce a carefully protected royal narrative that has been passed down through generations. But what happens when one extraordinary collection of jewels seems destined for a single royal woman? Was it merely tradition? Or was a legacy quietly being prepared with Kate in mind all along? Why was Diana's most powerful symbol always intended to find its way to the future queen? Keep watching to find out. Diana's legacy lives through Kate. For nearly 18 years, one of the most recognizable royal jewels remained hidden from public view. Locked away in the royal vaults, the Cambridge lover's knot tiara had become more than an heirloom. It had become a symbol of memory, forever linked to the woman who transformed it into one of the most famous pieces of jewelry in the world, Princess Diana. Then, in December 2015, something remarkable happened. During Buckingham Palace's annual diplomatic reception, an event filled with glittering gowns, white tie elegance, and representatives from across the globe, Catherine, then Duchess of Cambridge, stepped into the spotlight wearing the very tiara many believed would never return to public life. The moment sent shockwaves through royal watchers. This was not simply a fashion choice. Catherine had spent years carefully building her role within the monarchy. Since marrying Prince William, she had proven herself to be steady, dedicated, and deeply aware of the traditions surrounding the institution she had joined. By choosing to wear Diana's most iconic tiara, she appeared to be embracing a responsibility much larger than herself. Almost instantly, comparisons flooded newspapers and television screens around the world. Side-by-side photographs showed Diana's captivating gaze beside Catherine's calm confidence, both framed beneath the same arches of diamonds and swinging pearl drops. Royal commentators described it as a symbolic passing of the torch. What made the moment so powerful was Catherine's timing. She had waited. Enough years had passed to allow Diana's memory to remain respected rather than overshadowed. Catherine wasn't attempting to replace the beloved princess. Instead, she seemed to acknowledge the legacy Diana left behind while gently adding her own chapter to the story. From that evening onward, the lover's knot tiara gradually became Catherine's signature piece. She wore it during important state occasions, including diplomatic receptions and prestigious royal banquets. Each appearance strengthened the public connection between Catherine and the role Diana once held as Princess of Wales. To many observers, Catherine had become the natural guardian of a legacy that meant so much to the British public. Then came another period of absence. Global events disrupted royal schedules, and Catherine herself faced serious personal challenges that temporarily pulled her away from public duties. As months turned into years, anticipation quietly grew over when the beloved tiara would make its return. When it finally reappeared during Catherine's return to major royal engagements, the reaction was immediate. The image of the princess once again wearing the lover's knot tiara was interpreted by many as a statement of resilience. It reflected continuity, commitment, and the determination to fulfill her responsibilities despite personal hardship. But perhaps its greatest power lies in what it represents. For Diana, the tiara stood beside moments of extraordinary public admiration and private struggle. For Catherine, it has become a symbol of grace under pressure and devotion to duty. The same jewel now connects two very different women through a shared understanding of life inside one of the world's most scrutinized institutions. Yet this raises an even more fascinating mystery. If Catherine was ultimately entrusted with Diana's most famous tiara, why has Queen Camilla never been allowed near it? Is it simply tradition? Or does an unspoken royal rule still determine who can and cannot touch Diana's enduring legacy? Stay glued to your screen, as the answer is not what you think. Camilla and Diana's tiara divide. For many people watching from the outside, the question seems simple. If Camilla is now queen and married to the king, why doesn't she wear every royal jewel available to her, including the tiara most famously associated with Diana? Technically, she could. As the wife of the monarch, she has access to the royal collection and could choose from some of the most extraordinary pieces in British history. Yet the fact that she has never worn Diana's iconic lover's knot tiara reveals something far more important than royal privilege. It reveals a strategy. Camilla's decision has never been about authority. It has been about understanding boundaries that are better left untouched. In the world of monarchy, survival often depends on knowing which battles are worth fighting and which symbols carry emotional weight far beyond their material value. Rather than reaching for the piece forever linked to Diana, Camilla has built her own identity through other remarkable tiaras. She has appeared in dazzling creations rich in royal history, each chosen carefully to project dignity and continuity without reopening old wounds. These jewels provide all the grandeur expected of a queen, while allowing her to establish a distinct image of her own. The reality is that Diana's lover's knot ceased to be just another royal ornament long ago. It became part of Diana's story. Photographs of the princess wearing the sparkling pearls and diamonds during state visits, charity events, and official portraits transformed the tiara into something deeply personal in the public imagination. It came to symbolize elegance, vulnerability, and the complicated life of the woman many still call the people's princess. Camilla understands this better than most. For more than 2 decades, she has undergone one of the most difficult public image transformations in modern royal history. Once viewed by many as the woman who disrupted Charles and Diana's marriage, she gradually reshaped public opinion through patience, consistency, and dedication to charitable causes, particularly those focused on literacy and osteoporosis awareness. While not universally adored, she has earned a level of acceptance that once seemed impossible. Wearing Diana's most recognizable tiara could jeopardize much of that progress overnight. The headlines would not celebrate royal tradition. Instead, they would likely revive decades-old controversies and painful memories. Critics might interpret the choice as insensitive, while supporters of Diana could see it as an unnecessary attempt to claim a symbol that, emotionally, never stopped belonging to the late princess. In many ways, avoiding the lover's knot is not an admission of weakness. It is an act of caution. The monarchy depends heavily on public trust, and maintaining that trust often requires restraint. Some treasures are valuable because of their history. Others are powerful because of the feelings they still awaken. And few royal symbols carry as much emotional weight as those connected to Diana. But after Diana's death, how did public perception shape every decision the palace made? And what delicate balance has the monarchy been struggling to preserve ever since? Let's take a look. The hidden tiara strategy. At first glance, it may seem surprising that Queen Camilla has never worn the lover's knot tiara. Some might assume that strict palace rules prevented it. Others may believe an official ban exists behind closed doors. But the truth appears far more complex and revealing. It speaks to an unspoken understanding within the monarchy itself. Some royal symbols carry so much emotional weight that disturbing them would come at a cost. The lover's knot tiara is one of them. Over the years, the royal family has learned that survival depends not only on tradition and protocol, but also on understanding public sentiment. Few moments demonstrated this more clearly than the aftermath of Princess Diana's death in 1997. The nation was overwhelmed with grief. For many people, Diana was not simply a royal figure. She represented compassion, warmth, and a connection that transcended palace walls. During that difficult period, the monarchy faced one of the greatest challenges in its modern history. Critics accused the institution of appearing distant and detached from the pain being felt across the country. It became a powerful lesson about the importance of public perception. Symbols mattered, emotions mattered, and the royal family could no longer afford to ignore either. In today's world of constant media attention and instant public reaction, that lesson remains deeply relevant. The choices made by senior royals are often carefully considered, especially when it comes to iconic pieces of jewelry that carry significant emotional associations. This is why the current arrangement surrounding the lover's knot tiara seems less about restriction and more about sensitivity. Camilla has built her own identity as queen consort, often choosing different pieces from the royal collection. It reflects an awareness that certain symbols remain closely tied to Diana in the minds of many people. At the same time, Catherine, Princess of Wales, has worn the tiara in a way that honors its history while naturally connecting it to the monarchy's future. Rather than reopening old wounds, her appearances in the piece have often been viewed as a continuation of a legacy that bridges generations. Other royal women have followed similar paths. Princess Anne, for example, has long been associated with her own distinctive jewels, creating a visual identity uniquely hers. Together, these choices help maintain a delicate balance within the institution. It allows each royal woman to occupy her own space without overshadowing another. No formal announcement was ever required. No public explanation needed to be offered. These decisions appear to stem from a shared understanding of history, symbolism, and the emotional landscape of the nation. Legally, the crown holds the authority. Yet emotionally, Diana's influence continues to shape conversations decades later. But if the lover's knot tiara still carries echoes of the past, what role will it play in the years ahead? Could its next chapter redefine its meaning forever? And what does the lover's knot tiara have in store for the future? Stay tuned. The tiara's future legacy. The Cambridge lover's knot tiara has already lived several extraordinary lives, yet its story is far from over. Today, it has become one of Catherine's most recognizable royal symbols, appearing during some of the monarchy's most important occasions. But this is not simply about fashion or personal preference. Every time the Princess of Wales wears this famous piece, she adds another chapter to a story that stretches across generations. As Catherine continues in her role, the tiara's meaning continues to evolve. Once associated with Queen Mary, later treasured by Queen Elizabeth II, and forever linked in the public imagination with Princess Diana, it has now become part of Catherine's own royal journey. With each appearance, she reinforces an image of stability, continuity, and quiet dedication to duty. Yet royal history never stands still. The monarchy is always preparing for the future, and the next stage of this tiara's journey could be even more significant. One day, Prince William is expected to become king. When that moment arrives, Catherine will step into a new role as queen consort. With that transition comes greater access to the royal collection and the possibility of wearing some of the monarchy's most treasured pieces on a regular basis. Among those jewels is the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece so iconic that it appeared in countless portraits of Queen Elizabeth II and became one of the most recognized symbols of her reign. Queen Camilla's decision to wear it marked an important milestone in her own royal position. It demonstrated that certain tiaras carry meanings that extend far beyond their sparkling appearance. As Catherine's responsibilities grow, attention naturally turns to what may happen to the lover's not tiara. Royal traditions often allow historic jewels to continue their journeys through successive generations. If Prince George eventually marries and his wife receives the title of Princess of Wales, the tiara could once again become closely tied to that role. Others have wondered whether Princess Charlotte, should she take on a prominent position as a senior working royal, might one day be entrusted with this treasured piece. Such a gesture would not simply be about inheritance. It would represent the passing of history, responsibility, and identity from one generation of royal women to the next. In many ways, the lover's knot tiara is becoming a symbol of women preparing for future crowns. It connects queens and princesses across decades, reminding the public that the monarchy depends as much on continuity as it does on change. There is, however, one famous tiara that follows an entirely different path. Diana's beloved Spencer tiara remains the private property of the Spencer family. Passed down through generations of Diana's relatives, it belongs outside the royal collection and continues to serve as a deeply personal family heirloom. The lover's knot tells a different story. It is not simply a collection of pearls and diamonds. It represents resilience, service, and the enduring influence of a princess whose compassion transformed the monarchy's public image. Catherine seems to understand this better than most. By wearing it thoughtfully, she acknowledges the past while embracing the responsibilities of the future. But perhaps the most remarkable truth is this: Catherine never tried to become another Diana. Instead, she honored what came before while creating something uniquely her own. And that raises an even deeper question. Was Kate ever meant to replace Diana at all? Or has she been continuing a story that Diana herself never had the chance to finish? Let's explore the details. The crown's passing memory. When Catherine, Princess of Wales, appears wearing the Cambridge lover's knot tiara, comparisons to Princess Diana are almost unavoidable. The same sparkling arches of diamonds and swinging pearls once framed Diana's face as she stepped into the spotlight as one of the most famous women in the world. Today, they rest upon Kate's head as she carries out her own royal duties. Yet the story behind these two women is not about replacement. It is about continuation. From the moment Kate married Prince William, many wondered whether she would become the next Diana. It was an expectation shaped by public affection for Diana and the enduring impact she had on the monarchy. But Kate has never tried to imitate her late mother-in-law. Instead, she has quietly forged her own path while honoring the legacy Diana left behind. Both women share the title of Princess of Wales, one of the most significant roles within the royal family. Diana transformed the position through her warmth, compassion, and ability to connect with ordinary people. Her visits to hospitals, shelters, and humanitarian causes reshaped public expectations of what a modern royal could be. She brought emotion and accessibility to an institution often viewed as distant. Kate's approach has been different, reflecting her own personality and the changing times. More reserved and measured, she has built her reputation through consistency and dedication. Her work in early childhood development and mental health awareness highlights a thoughtful, long-term commitment to issues she believes can improve society. Rather than stepping into Diana's shadow, she has expanded upon the idea that royal influence can be used to create meaningful change. The lover's knot tiara symbolizes this connection between past and present. For Diana, it became one of her defining pieces, worn during state visits and official engagements around the world. After her death, the tiara disappeared from public view for many years, becoming closely tied to memories of the people's princess. When Kate first wore it in 2015, the gesture carried enormous significance. She did not erase Diana's place in history. Instead, she acknowledged it. By choosing to wear the tiara, Kate demonstrated respect for the woman who came before her while embracing the responsibilities that accompany her own position. In many ways, Kate represents the continuation of a story that Diana never had the opportunity to finish. Different in temperament and style, both women have sought to modernize the monarchy through empathy, service, and devotion to duty. The tiara they share serves as a reminder that while history cannot be repeated, its most meaningful chapters can still inspire those who follow. So, what do you think? Should Queen Camilla ever be allowed to wear the lover's knot tiara, or should it remain forever connected to Diana and now Catherine? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.